So let's start with Pretty Boy Floyd now, and you just came from the Australian tour.
Uh-huh.
And how was that, traveling all that way from California to Australia?
Well, we started off in Tokyo, did 2 sold-out nights in Tokyo, and then from there went to Australia, did 3 nights in Australia straight, and it was great. Good crowds, very well received, and first time ever for Floyd in Australia.
First time for you also?
Yeah, first time for myself too, personally.
So Pretty Boy Floyd, is it a big difference compared to White Lion?
Well, 2 different bands from the same era. Floyd's a little bit more of the glam, straightforward, a little bit more visual of a band, where White Lion's more of a melodic rock band. White Lion back in the day, no makeup or anything. So two different bands, although they're from the same era.
Are you still part of White Lion?
Yeah. It's just there's nothing going on right now with White Lion. Tremp's doing his solo album out in Denmark and working that just came out in October, and plans on doing some touring and trying to work some festivals from a solo standpoint, probably through most of next year.
So where's Patrick Farrell going to be playing soon? You're going on another tour?
Yeah, we go to England. We leave tomorrow, in fact, in about 24 hours for the UK. We'll do 5 in a row there, and then we do 5 in Sweden, and then we end up in Italy on the 13th, and then we'll be back in LA with the Bullet Boys on the 18th in Santa Ana, California.
Are you going to be at the next Pretty Boy Floyd album?
Yeah, we're doing 2 new albums next year. One's going to be a covers album that Floyd's been threatening to put out for the last few years, and I said, hey, let's put that to rest and let's get it done. So we're gonna track that and a new album that will come out next year, as well as a DVD from this last tour here.
Troy, how did you join Mike Tremp and White Lion back in the day? Did you pass through heavy auditions and stuff?
No. It wasn't like that, really. I first started playing with Tremp in 2001 on his solo tour, and basically what happened was he had his old mates, Jerry Best and Kenny Corabi from Freakin' Nature, and they had a drummer they were playing with, and that was going to be Mike's backup band. And what happened was the drummer couldn't get away, and he was kind of expressing his disappointment to a mutual friend of mine. And the guy goes, well, hey, if you need to find the drummer to replace you, I know a guy that would be great for that. And my name came up. I called Jerry Best, picked up a CD, had one audition. He goes, great. We leave in 2 weeks, I said, awesome. So Mike came down, and we started rehearsing the set, and I've been with Mike ever since.
Pretty Boy Floyd fan for all of your life?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wasn't ever really a big Pretty Boy Floyd fan. I certainly knew the band, but I was more into, Cheap Trick and Enough's Enough and Thin Lizzy. I grew up on the more melodic stuff, where White Lion kind of fit more into that. But I certainly dig the Floyd stuff. And I'm a big Tommy Lee fan and Motley Crue, and Floyd comes from that Kiss, Motley Crue, from that kind of angle of the music, and my style fits in perfect for that stuff. So it was a good match, and it's a fun band to play in, and they're cool guys to be with,
You practice a lot on tour to keep your chops going good?
Well, we play 11 shows in a row.
Okay, then.
This next leg.
That
Not a lot
answers
of
the
time
question.
for practicing,
Yeah.
More, we do our hour and a half every night, and then we travel, and so unfortunately we don't get a lot of time to do the personal rehearsing that one wants to do. But I mean, the object for us when we're out there is to have the band make sure it kicks ass and that we're all locked together.
Do you keep in touch with fans from both bands a lot?
Oh yeah, all the time, and some of the fans are the same. You can still be a fan of White Lion if you're a fan of Pretty Boy Floyd. But yeah, I got a MySpace, and I run it myself, and I keep in touch with the people, that come out to the shows and write as much as I can. I mean, I think it's important that if somebody's going to spend their hard-earned money to come out and buy a shirt and maybe buy the band a beer and come see the show, it doesn't cost anything to send an email back saying, hey, thanks for coming out, for supporting,
For sure. On the White Lion subject, did you ever meet Vito Bharata? And where is he?
That's a good question, man. Ask Vito. No, I've never met Vito. And as far as where he's at, he's still at his mom's house, you know, that he grew up in. So I'm sure he's still in Staten Island. And that's about all I know about Vito. You know, he's constantly, you know, suing the band and stuff over rights to the name, but doesn't want to be a part of anything. He just wants to sue. And that's the extent of Vito Bharata. That's how I know Vito Bharata.
Wow. So let's get out of that subject quick.
Well, you know, whatever. It is what it is. I mean, you know, Mike and Vito have a long history together, and I'm sure there's some deep wounds there that need to be resolved, and hopefully, like men, they can resolve them instead of paying some lawyers that don't even know the band musically
right.
a bunch of money. You know, it's really not about the money, and there really isn't any money. You know, I think it's that Vito can't come out and play, and he doesn't want anybody else to go out and play either. I think that's what it is. I mean, I don't really know. I think he'd be the best one to answer those questions.
Have you ever done drum seminars and teach your techniques and all that stuff?
You know, I don't come from a technical standpoint, drum-wise, you know, like, you know, Vinny Caliuta or, you know, some of these guys that are, you know, Ray Luzier. Ray was a very schooled musician where he grew up in that environment. And although he's a great rock player and plays with David Lee Roth and Korn, he can also teach a lot of the technical aspects of drums. And that wasn't the road I took when I first started playing. I certainly took lessons and learned all my rudiments, and then I started playing to a click track, learning how to play with a band and playing with a bass player and stuff like that. And I can certainly teach a thing or two about that because I think it's important that when you know, if you want to play drums or play an instrument, you know, it's great to know your instrument by yourself and to master it, but it's also great to be able to play with others too. And, you know, play for the song and play for the purpose of the group as opposed to, you know, playing for yourself. And because it's not about you, it's about the song. And I come from that angle. And I've done some small things here and there, but you know, I'm not a big technical guy, so I've never, you know, had the need to go out and show anybody my techniques. You know, I just try and express that when you play in a band, you make sure you know that you're playing with 3 or 4 other people, not just yourself, you know.
On your MySpace, you got Just Like Paradise. Who was singing for the tribute to DLR there?
That is, who sang on that one? That was quite some time ago. The singer, Derek Lefevre from Lillian Axe. He and I have actually done a couple different things together. He did the Guns N' Roses one too. We did Rocket Queen too.
The song I heard on your MySpace sounds almost like the original track.
Yeah, you know, we got it pretty close. It was
really
we did
close.
that over at Carrie Kelly's place of Alice Cooper.
Right.
And Rowan Robertson played guitar on it. Rowan's from Dio and plays in DC4 now. And he's also played with a bunch of other guys over the time. And the bass player is Marco Paciglia, and he's from Finland, and he's kind of organized quite a few of those things I've done. And it's a lot of fun, you know. It's kind of paying tribute to all those bands you grew up playing, and you get to play with a bunch of different people. I never thought I'd get to play with Rowan Robertson. You know, he's a killer guitar player, and it was fun doing the session with him.
Wow, heavy-duty musicians on that one.
Oh, absolutely.
Who's your basic idols on drums? Tommy Lee and people like that?
Well, you know, Tommy Lee's an obvious one because he's, you know, he's kind of the poster boy for big rock drums in the 80s.
Right.
But I'm a bigger fan of Vicky Fox, who plays in the Veronicas now, but more in the hair genre would be known for playing with Enough's Enough, and Vince Neil. He's also played with Warrant and Dokken. You know, he's done quite a few things, but he's a little bit more my style, a little bit different than Tommy Lee, but I mean, definitely a flashy drummer. And Bunny Carlos from Cheap Trick is probably my top. He's just such a great drummer. He's got such a cool feel. Plays left-handed, plays right-handed, and although I don't know that I, you know, sound like him, he's just certainly one of the guys that's just inspired me to, you know, check out different styles while still playing rock and roll.
Does he still smoke the cigarette while he's playing?
Absolutely, Bunny Carlos. Yeah,
that's awesome.
He's great, man. He's a great character. I've been fortunate enough to meet him and all the Cheap Trick guys a couple times, and they're just great. You know, there's one of those guys that although we may have played the same stages together, I still see him and just look up and just go, wow, those are guys I grew up listening to. I hail the almighty Cheap Trick.
Cheap Trick is a big band, and they are good.
Yep.
When you're on tour or on your days on tour.
So, while we're touring, days off usually mean travel,
Right.
And when we're not touring, I work for a booking agency, and I book some of these bands now that I grew up listening to. We book Dunkin, Lynch Mob, the Misfits. We're booking some shows here for Vince Neil now, and Gene Loves Jezebel, and all sorts of bands. Some bands are bigger than others, but so I'm a booking agent, and the company's Artists Worldwide, and fortunate enough to do that, because in some of the bands that don't require an agency, like if I was working with Dizzy Reed and we were booking Hookers A Blow, or I got a new band called Lost Angels with John Corabi and Eric Dover and Muddy from Gilby's band. Some of those bands, we don't really need an agent because we don't do a lot of big shows.
Right.
And so I would book those on my own anyway. So I'm familiar with the booking aspect, and Artists Worldwide has given me kind of an avenue now to expand that thing that I have about doing the business and get involved with a lot of other bands and put together some little packages, because I enjoy the business part of it as much as I do playing.
You're involved with some real big people.
Yeah, it's kind of cool when you get a phone call from the office and it's George Lynch or Don Dawkins on the phone. I'm like, man, you guys, you guys were on my MTV when I grew up, and now I'm talking to them about what time their plane needs to leave for them to get to the next gig. So it's cool.
Did you happen to see the new Dunkin Commercial with the chicken?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, our agency set that up, and it's great. I think it's great that a new technology. I mean, who would have thought back in the early '80s that computers and the internet is so involved now that a band from that many years ago, 25 plus years ago, is now being used to market something that's very much the 21st century. It's kind of a cool opposite thing, where you're taking an old band of sorts and putting it with brand new technology and marketing it. I think it's great. Introducing
it to another generation of audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's good for Dunkin, and it's good for Norton Antivirus, hopefully, too,
For sure. Do you, the Norton Antivirus with the chicken in it. The internet, Twitter, and Facebook, and MySpace, what do you think is going to dominate for band promotion?
Out of,
is Twitter...
Dominate...
Is Twitter going to win the battle?
Well, I don't think so. I think people, I think the internet gives people... they feel that they're entitled to not shut their mouths, and they get to say what they want. And I think in Twitter, you're limited to 160 characters, and I think people like to talk too much. And 160 characters isn't enough for them. Whereas on Facebook, you can give your opinion on everything, and you can, blab to the world about everything that's going on in a bigger format. For me personally, the Twitter thing's kind of cool. You get to kind of update in one sentence or two sentences where you're at and what you're doing, and link them to a picture, and I think that's very cool. But I don't think people are brief, and I think everybody seems to be some sort of star via the internet, and so I think Twitter limits their stardom. So I think MySpace and Facebook will always remain pretty dominant, and Twitter might, there's room for Twitter too, there's room for all those things. There's a lot of people that like to hear themselves talk, so
right.
Plenty of applications to allow them to do that.
One final thing here, rock band or guitar
Sure.
world, what will dominate?
Well, I would say, I hope that it's the band thing, because, there's always, it's funny when you go to a club or, you go to a music school, there's 100 guitar players and 2 drummers,
Right.
And maybe the rock band thing will encourage, once the brothers and the friends, you get the rock band for Christmas, and somebody's already taken the guitar, and the guy's already taken the mic, and somebody's got to be the bass player. There's going to be room for the drummer, and maybe it'll encourage more kids to, put together a little drum set and put on some AC/DC and learn to play, Back in Black.
What's your favorite AC/DC album?
I'd say Back in Black, or any of the greatest hits, because there's a lot of those hits on that went over the span of many albums, you know. I mean, I'm definitely a big Bon Scott fan too. So, you know, you pick up a good greatest hits package, and you're gonna get all the good stuff.
You happen to hear the new Kiss Sonic Boom yet?
You know, I haven't. I heard just a clip of it, and I've heard some samples online, but I haven't been able to listen to it front to back. But from what I heard, it sounds like a Kiss record, you know.
Yes, classic Kiss at his best. And well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Troy Patrick Farrell.
You too, mate.
We're gonna be promoting you, and good luck on the tour with Pretty Boy Floyd.
Thanks, man. I'm glad we were able to talk.